Good morning, students. Today we shall read the first chapter of our supplement reader, The Vistas, that is the third level by Jack Finney, an American writer born in 1911 and died in 1995. He has written a lot of science fictions and thrillers, and some of his stories and novels have been given the form of Hollywood movies. Now this chapter has some resemblance with the chapter you studied in class 11, The Adventure by Jayant Narlikar. That was a time travel story, and this is also a kind of time travel story. In this chapter, the narrator, that is Charlie, not the writer, Charlie talks about an experience he had while traveling in New York Grand Central Railway Station. He witnessed another level, third level. Now, what are these levels? In India, we have so many platforms in our railway station, platform 1, 2, 3, likewise. But in developed nations, to accommodate a lot of trains simultaneously and lack of space, there are levels to one on the normal plane and another one underground, that is known as subway. In Delhi also we have this kind of subway or underground metro stations. But here the narrator Charlie wants to make us believe that there is another level, that is the third level, which he had witnessed on an evening while traveling back home from his work. And he gives a lot of evidences, and sometimes he is also doubtful whether he was in a real situation, or he was in some kind of hallucination, or he was ailing from some psychiatric or mental problem. That's why he also visited one of his psychiatrist friend whose name was Sam, and his psychiatric friend associates this kind of experience with some other personal things. Now let's move on to the first line. The president of the New York Central and the New York, New Haven and Hartford railroads will swear on a stack of timetables that there are only two. So the narrator himself admits that there are only two levels, the normal levels and the subway one, and not another one, because none of the management or the president of these railways will agree that there are another one, and the timetable also proves that there are only two, and everyone knows that there are only two levels. But he had experienced another level. But I say there are three, but he says, insists that there are three. Because I have been on the third level of the Grand Central Station, this is at New York, yes, I have taken the obvious step. I talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine. So when he shared this experience that he had uniquely experienced that there are three levels, people might have suggested him that he was undergoing some kind of problem, so he had definitely visited psychiatrist. uh, among others, I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station, and he said it was waking dream wish fulfillment. And what was the root of this kind of experience, as stated by his psychiatrist friend, was that waking dream wish fulfillment. Maybe he wanted to have or gain some such kind of experience, um, he might have visited the third level, but actually there is no third level. Now let me tell you that these kind of fictions are already there. I recommend you to watch a video of Harry Potter series, Harry Potter platform 9 by 3, that is platform number 9 level 3. There you can get an idea of what the levels are, and that is also a kind of fiction. Now come to the chapter. When the psychiatrist told Charlie that this was a kind of problem can be called waking dream wish fulfillment, he said, I was unhappy, and this happens when a person becomes unhappy. That made my wife kind of mad. And when Sam, the psychiatrist, said that Charlie was unhappy and was having some kind of problem known as waking dream wish fulfillment. Charlie's wife, Luasa, became a kind of mad. But he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. He also added, the psychiatrist also added, this kind of unhappiness or the waking dream wish fulfillment kind of problem might have originated because of the war that were just over. Let me tell you that this story might have been written in the year 1965 when two world wars were over and Cold War was already going on, then another world war was expected any time. So this kind of fear, war fear and worry was natural at that time, and that might have a vast huge impact upon everyone's mind, and that might have impacted the narrator here, Charlie. Uh, and he also associates that he wants to escape all these kind of things, this kind of thought. That's why he might have experienced such a thing. So he related it with escapism. Well, who doesn't? Everyone wants to escape this kind of worry and warfare. Everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down into any third level at Grand Central Station. But Charlie says everybody wants to escape such situation, but not all the people experience these sort of things. Then why me? Why me? But that's the reason, he said. Who said? Sam said, the psychiatrist. But that's the reason, he said, and my friends all agreed. Everything points to it. And his friends also agreed with the psychiatrist and started giving other examples and other things from his personal life, Charlie's personal life, and how those things could have influenced Charlie to experience all these peculiar absurd things. They claimed my stamp collecting, for example, his friends said that because Charlie was in the habit or in the hobby of having the hobby of collecting stamps, that is philately, collection of stamps is known as philately. And tell me what is numismatics. It's your home task in your comment box. Whenever you reply me or give me feedback, you do reply me what is numismatics. So my stamp collecting, for example, that's a temporary refuge from reality. The stamp collecting habit was a temporary refuge from reality, because stamps collection is such a thing where the stamps are generally collected from outdated stamps or antique pieces, or which is not in the vogue in practice, and those things are actually valuable and costly, not the ones that is under circulation. So these friends associate that these stamp collection habit of the past era of the last century might have influenced him a lot. But to this, the narrator replies, well, maybe, but my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. Suppose I am one who is born in the amidst the First World War and Second World War, I am one who has experienced the world wars. So I need a kind of escape, but not my grandfather. And my grandfather also used to have this kind of hobby. So he didn't express the third level. He has never told me that there is another level. Things were pretty nice and peaceful. He says things were nice and peaceful in his days. From all I hear, and he started my collection. It is a nice collection too, blocks of 4 of practically every US issue, first day covers and so on. First day cover is something which is explained in the last part of this chapter, but let me tell you, first day cover is that whenever a stamp is launched for the first time, people buy the stamp, affix it on the envelope, and write their own address and postage, placing some blank paper inside it, and after the letter is received to themselves, they take the stamps and affix it. And why they post it to themselves? Because they want a proof the date that is mentioned on the stamp itself by the postal department. They need the seal. That's why they post it, and that is known as fast takeovers, and so on. President Roosevelt's collected stamp too, you know. So here Charlie also give his argument in his favor that even his grandfather used to collect, even President Roosevelt used to collect stamps, but they never failed the third level. Then why I? Anyway, here is what happened at Grand Central. One night last summer, I worked late at the office. He worked in an office and he worked up to late night. That one day, I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. So he chose to take the train route rather than going by bus because he wanted to reach his house faster. Now I don't know why this should have happened to me. I'm just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit. Gabardine is something like an artificial leather suit. Tan is a color that is tanned by sunlight, light ivory color. A tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. You can see the picture there. It is almost like that. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me. So in his time, people were wearing that kind of dress. He mentions that. And I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I just wanted to get home to Louisa, my wife. Louisa. Some people pronounce it as Luaza. I don't know what is the exact pronunciation. You may call it Louisa or Luaza. Anything would serve the purpose. So Luaza was Charlie's wife. Charlie's wife. Luaza. I turned into Grand Central from Vanderwalt Avenue. Avenue means street, and went down the steps to the first level, where you take trains like the 20th century. He mentions that the ordinary trains have the first level, and ordinarily people board train from the first level. Then I walked down another flight. Flight means the part of a stair to the second level, where the suburban trains leave from. Docked into an arched doorway. Then he bows down, docks into an arched doorway. Arc means, you know, that is bent in a semicircular or hemispherical way, this kind of arc. Arced way. Where did I leave this? Heading for the subway and got lost. And then he got lost. That's easy to do. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times, but I am always bumping into new doorways and stairs and corridors. Once I got into a tunnel about a mile long and came out in the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. Another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. So he wants to mention that he never chose the same path every day, because everything fascinated him in the second level or ground level of subway. There are so many ways, so many gates, and whenever he entered in one gate, he discovered another place, and that was real. But he found a lot of shortcuts to reach places. That's why he liked these places, and he had visited hundreds of times to this Grand Central Railway Station, and he has also walked inside the ground level subway, and every time he was fascinated, but he had never experienced the third level. The video is becoming longer. Let me conclude here for this day. I'll be making another video soon. Thank you.